Hello everyone! There have been a bunch of cutscenes and in-game cinematics that they added to the Shadowlands, and we have been discussing them a whole bunch over on Twitch. Since there was such an interest in it, I figured I would give you my reaction in like a compilation. Timestamps are in the description if you're looking for the reaction to a very specific one. With that, sit back, relax. I hope you'll enjoy.
Fine, whatever. I'll activate the Waystone. See if I care. See if I care if all of you come with me, huh? I'm out.
Nothing escapes the law.
Uh-oh.
Yield to the inevitable.
Are you
They've
inevitable?
stopped their advance.
Okay.
The light is with me. Even here.
Woo! Damn, Anduin.
Go, champion! Go!
I'm out. Oh, that's well cool. Oh no! Oh no!
You have failed.
No. I have precisely what I need.
Oh no! The boy king is gonna serve at the master's table. Oh no! Welcome to Oribos.
An agent of the Maw is attacking Oribos. Defend the Arbiter!
For the record, by the way, I'm pretty
Hold.
sure.
The Maw's power does linger upon them, but I sense... No, that cannot be possible!
Anduin is like 18 or 19 years old at this point, and he's like, you know, the light's just with me. Let me just pull another Siege of Lordaeron and call down upon them a mighty bubble. Oh, it's so cool to see, though. Yeah, they did real good. That last little cutscene add a whole lot to it. I'm excited. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh, shit. Okay.
For uncounted eons, the Shadowlands was in perfect order. Infinite afterlives, with Oribos, the eternal city, as the shining heart. Every mortal soul came before the Arbiter, and she, ever wise, experienced all that had shaped a soul in life. With this knowledge, she consigned every soul to the afterlife it justly deserved. Until... in that dread moment, our perfect order was shattered. And so it is that every soul, kind and cruel alike, is denied its rightful afterlife.
Wow.
And instead is damned to the inescapable torment of the Maw.
Those poor bastards. Huh, interesting. Really interesting. So the first one's confirmed that they made everything, apparently, and the jailer has a hate boner for the Arbiter. And then there was the Calamity. It still isn't full-on confirmation, but the Calamity apparently happened when a soul was sent over to the Shadowlands, and the Arbiter was like, I will judge you. And instead it started shrieking, and it was like, oh my god, cannot handle. Now, my first take on what I just saw, like the red spirit going in there, I thought Argus. right? Like the red model of Argus from Legion. If it's somewhere in Legion time periods and the coloring of red, I was like, that's gotta be Argus, right? Argus taken care of. But we have the Taliesin Avatar interview in which they said that there is a difference between mortal and magical souls, and that magical souls, like the Titans, are supposed to go to a different domain, similar to how like demons go to the Twisting Nether, Titans would go to like a Titan domain kind of deal, whereas mortal souls go to the Shadowlands. So I don't know how that would line up. Interesting. But Argus wasn't fully awakened. Would he not be considered a full Titan? I mean, it could be interesting with the... spoilers. A corrupted Xavius. Ooh. Interesting. I mean, it had a massive effect on the Arbiter. Like, if I had to put some money on it right now, I would definitely say that the death of Argus would have such a massive impact on her that at the end of the road, we like, dealt with Sargeras and imprisoned him, but little did we know the Shadowlands. That would be interesting. But maybe. I mean, it's something we're gonna find out, right? Old God servants go to the Void? Yeah. So old gods go back to the domain of the Void Lords, or so we assume. I don't think it was a mere soul. You think it was an attack? Yeah. Interesting. Really, really interesting. It's kind of cool that it's still not confirmation as to what happened, but it's another piece of the puzzle. It's another clue as to, oh, what is going on here? I'm excited to add to this initial reaction, and I'm probably going to make a more dedicated video about it. I'm thinking about making a video on what destroyed the Arbiter, what is the Nephrius, and who is the sister of the Winterqueen. But to add to this reaction, as we went through the Shadowlands, I think I'll have to put my money elsewhere. If you go to Revendreth, they actually mention that Sire the Nephrius is the drought, responsible for the drought in the Shadowlands. And we heard this repeated many times during the beta as well. And even back then, I kind of wondered, like, why would he be responsible for the drought across the Shadowlands? If he's dealing with Revendreth, that makes sense. Like, he's making the population farm anima, and he's stockpiling it, and he's hiding it away. That makes a whole lot of sense. But how come someone like the Nephrius would be claimed to be responsible for the drought in the rest of the Shadowlands? Considering that the anima coloring for Revendreth is red, imagine a situation in which the Nephrius attacked the Arbiter, destroying the Arbiter, making sure that all the souls go to the jailer, go down into the maw, and by extension also creating a drought which crosses the entirety of the Shadowlands, turning the Eternal Ones against one another, or at least, you know, distracting them, as well as creating a drought in Ardenweald, which would by extension weaken the tree there and weaken the bonds that hold the jailer. It would fall in line with the plans with working together with the jailer, but again, as I said in my initial reaction, it is not entirely certain. That's the cool part. You could say Xavius, Sylvanus, the Argus, the attack from Sire the Nephrius. Pretty much anything still goes, which is cool that it's still kept in the shadows. But again, if I had to put some money anywhere, I would put it on the Nephrius at this point in time. But I guess we're gonna find out. Oh, to add to that, some also said, but didn't have to be a moment in Legion that caused it. That's not exactly what they said. They said it happened somewhere in the Legion time period. Not that it's necessarily a moment that took place in Legion. Onwards to the next one, shall we?
It seemed that their pact with the Maw was kept secret from him. I wonder, are the other Forsworn also unaware of it?
See, and that's the key critical component here. Are the Forsworn aware that they're in league with the powers of the Maw? Or are they just the ones who become disenfranchised with the path offered by the Kyrian? Like, if I was sorted into Bastion by the Arbiter... Cutscene. Ooh, choppy cutscene. Oh, what?
The ward has been sabotaged, as we agreed.
Hell yeah.
Good. Our allies are eager to strike.
Whoa.
The Kyrian temples will fall, and the Archon's reign shall be ended.
Whoa. Cool.
I am glad to see I am not yet alone. The Maldraxi attacked without warning.
Okay. So, Helia was able to make the gateway for the necropolis from Meldraxxus to come in and strike out at Bastion. Cool.
The broken helm still resonates with the power of the Lich King. The power of the Maw. Together, we can focus our sight.
Crap. What the fuck was that?
Not again. No! I will not yield! My mind is my own! Do you hear me?
Whoever you are, whatever you want, I will fight you. You will not break me.
They have reached the seat of the Primus and discovered his warning.
Unfortunate, but of little consequence. Our eyes are everywhere. This nuisance will be dealt with.
Whoa. Whoa.
That is all I can see.
That was very intense and very insane. What the fuck? Like, without even showing the details as to what's happening, just by voice acting, they already create this picture of being inside of the Tower of the Damned. This is exactly what I wanted, to be honest. To see what it's like for them to be in there, and it's... Wow, it is insane. Absolutely insane. So for those unaware, the Tower of the Damned is where the jailer torments souls and converts them into his army until they serve the very hand that created them. And in the case of the Maw, we saw that the jailer found something interesting in Anduin when he protected us with the Holy Light. We got the Whisper of Il'gynoth, where the Boy King will serve at the Master's table. That is also repeated in Shadows Rising. Wow, super intense. So, no, we did not see Bane, we did not see Anduin. But as Kalia mentioned, like, can't you check again? Like, you know, but both our mentions, these visions have their price. If I push further, we might end up in a, you know. But that was, wow, that was unexpectedly epic. Holy shit.
We stand together against the darkness.
The moment has come. I am curious.
My queen, please help us.
This is of my sister. Why have you brought it to me?
Oh!
Is slipping away.
This is of my sister. Oh, actually, Elune did bring her into the zone. Oh, that's cool.
Our duty is grim. Many have been lost. Why would I save her pet?
Those who have dreamed by its side awaken with a joy and peace that whispers of wonder. If she dies, then all that is Emerald dies with her.
Some must be sacrificed, but some must be saved. If we forget that, all that will remain will be empty shells and sorrow.
Save her, Queenie. Gives some of her own anima to do it. Wow. Oh, that's good. Oh, that is super cute. Okay, I like that. Okay, that was worth looking it up. Bit bummed, not gonna lie, bit bummed that it bugged out in game, but that was super cute. Okay, so she mentions this is one of my sisters. Now that doesn't necessarily, because my first reaction was like, oh my god, Elune actually brought her into the Shadowlands. But it seemed to be, as you went through the cutscene, it seemed to be hinting more at, whereas the Winterqueen has the domain of Ardenweald, the cycle of rebirth and whatnot, it is Elune that has the dream, the Emerald Dream. Therefore, Ysera is the dreamer, so therefore Ysera is one of hers. Not necessarily that Elune actually brought her to the Shadowlands, but definitely a connection. We already knew that the Winterqueen had a sister from the Shadowlands beta, as we could click on her voice lines, and she's like, "Do you have a sister, mortal? You are certainly as vexing as mine." From which we were like wondering, ooh, what could be a cool sister for the Winterqueen? Which would then flow into Elune being the opposite of it. Elune or Eonar? But Eonar gave Ysera her powers. Indirectly. Like, first of all, it was the Keepers that called upon them. And while Eonar did bless her, it seems to be more logical to make connection to Elune, considering the cutscene where Elune reaches down and grabs her, considering that she's brought out of the seed in the same pose that Elune put her in there. Is Eonar a possibility? Sure, but I'm gonna put my money on Elune 100%. Well, you might say that Eonar has a connection to Ysera because they empowered her into the Emerald Dream, but let's not forget that the Emerald Dream was potentially already there before Eonar did anything with it. In essence, what Eonar did was build a connection between the Emerald Dream and then empowered the dragon aspect there, but the domain that Ysera guarded was the Emerald Dream itself. In my humble opinion, it's a lot more interesting and makes a lot more sense if Elune itself is the counterpart to the Winterqueen. If Ardenweald is the winter and autumn towards the summer and spring of the Emerald Dream, if that connection is there, it makes more sense that Elune would be the counterpart for the Emerald Dream. So whereas the Winterqueen is the ruler of Ardenweald, Elune would be the one on the aspect of life on the Emerald Dream itself. Not to mention the whole connection of Ysera, Elune, Malorn, and Cenarius. There's that part as well. So I think there's a lot more to be said about Elune than about Eonar. Let us confront the sire.
My new friend.
Let's go.
You
show me. Too loud? My bad. There we go.
Denathrius!
This was your valiant last stand.
Poor thing.
For so very long, you've punished arrogant souls. But instead of learning from their suffering, you've become one of them. just needed to obey. How fortunate you are to witness the splendor of what is about to unfold. Every precious drop of anima, so painstakingly wrung from the tortured souls of lesser beings, now paves the path for the banished one to reclaim what was his. And once his liberation is secured, it shall be by his will that all is washed away. The only power that will emerge from this torrent of change is death. Death and those who shaped its victory.
Someone will stop you, Denathrius. Even if I...
Do not speak.
Don't ruin the moment.
Observe.
Don't ruin the moment, baby.
Remember this lesson.
Rip. So, yeah, kind of like how the sword was flying around, it kind of reminded me of that red blur that we saw in the thingy as well. So I'm really, really wondering if it was not just Denathrius sending its thing out. So here's the conclusion of the Revendreth campaign. What just happened is the whole bunch of anima that they've gathered there, they've all dumped down into the maw, empowering the jailer down below. So Denathrius is indeed in league with the jailer. Still no clarification on what the jailer wants. We still just know that he wants to reclaim what was his, whatever that might have been. Howdy everybody on the YouTube as well. As I just explained to the chat room, this is going to be a cutscene that's not quite available to the general public yet. Apparently it's one of the higher levels of the Tower of Torghast that you could check out. But since I had so many people ask me about it, and apparently it's really, really interesting, I figured I'll just spoil myself to get the whole thing completed. So let's have a look-see. Hi, Anduin. So yeah, last time that we saw Anduin, as well as the other leaders of the Alliance and the Horde, they were in the Maw, they were captured, and of course Anduin held the line like a boss so that we could escape to Oribos and start our adventures. And the Jada was like, that's interesting, that's exactly what I was looking for. Before that, Sylvanas actually had a little conversation with him, and she was like, why are you so narrow-minded? And then we have a whisper of Il'gynoth, which is potentially the boy king serves at the master's table. 3 lies he will offer you. And the Shadows Rising book, in which he loses control when confronting Sira Moonwarden. And for just an instant, some dark energy pulses out of his hands. And Sira tells him, like, you will serve us well because you have lost.
I do hope you've settled in. The accommodations are a bit sparse, I know.
Where are the others? Are they safe?
Safe? No. I wouldn't say any of them are safe.
I am so tired of your games.
As you wish. No more secrets.
Oh, snap.
No more lies.
Oh.
You are a weapon we will use to achieve our ends.
I will not become an instrument of death.
So you favor life? Is that it? That momentary flicker? Every cruel second spent delaying the inevitable in an endless war that you, like every Rin before you, will not survive.
Oof.
You know the truth. Nothing is fair. Not life, not death. So we're going to tear it all down.
And what purpose would that serve? Everyone suffers, Sylvanas. But destroying everything will not take away the pain.
Oh, you misunderstand. We're breaking a system that has always been flawed, and remaking it into one that is just.
Do you expect me to believe that all this time, you've been fighting for justice?
How can I convince you? From our first breath to our last, every decision is made for us. Then, the afterlife decides what eternity we must endure. We can't even choose who we couldn't control anything. But through the jailer, control of our fate will at last be possible.
Look around you! At what and who you've joined. What makes you believe you're not just a weapon to achieve his ends?
You have a choice to consider. Join us willingly, or be made to serve.
I thought you believed in free will, Sylvanas.
Since
We've
when?
never had free will, little lion. But that is about to change.
Sylvanas and free will. Sure. Who have you been dealing with, Anduin? Okay, interesting. Really interesting. Really interesting. Okay. That's some juicy bits though. No wonder everybody had so many questions about it. Huh. So... the one that popped out for me was when she went like... We couldn't even
How
when
can
we...
I convince you?
I thought she was gonna say who we loved.
From our first breath to our last, every decision is made for us. Then, the afterlife decides what eternity we must endure. We can't even choose who we...
We can't even choose who we love! Nephanos! You're a human, I'm a ranger. Interesting. So... This gives a lot of merit to the idea of that the afterlife that we see right now, that it's actually shaped and created. So what she's talking about, and this is something that you also witnessed as we went into Oribos, they are all talking about the purpose. We all serve in the purpose. Purpose. And Sylvanas is like, we have no merit over the lives that we lead, because then we end up in the afterlife and we're just sorted out like a sorting hat by the Arbiter, and we're just supposed to be okay with that. And in the case of Sylvanas, when she died by the hands of Arthas, she felt like a very nice afterlife coming for her, and then he ripped her soul back to make her the Banshee. And then she got her vengeance upon Arthas, and she decided to end it all, and she killed herself. And she finally found the afterlife that she was looking for. And yet she ended up in hell. She ended up in the Maw. There is still the question, and that is also something that Anduin asks her, like, what makes you think that you are not just a tool being used by the jailer right now? Because there's still the question as to, was she actually supposed to be sorted into the Maw? And that is still a question to be answered. Now, in the case of Sylvanas, she just knows that she ended up in the Maw, and that she enjoyed that torment, and she got in touch with the jailer, and the jailer was like, we're gonna tear this shit down, join me, join the side of death, and we're gonna rule the Shadowlands, we're gonna break it down, and then we're gonna come for the world of life, and we're gonna break that down, join me. And this unjust world will be wrung apart, not ladder by ladder, but all at once. There was like something that she said in Shadows Rising as well. They were like, yeah, we're gonna tear it all down. And that is why she joined the jailer. So from her point of view, and it all comes down to point of view as well, right? Because what Anduin asks her is like, you want me to believe that you've always been serving for the right side of justice, and I kind of expected her to say not justice but vengeance. That would have been delicious. But from her point of view, to be in a system where you're just sorted out and you can't even enjoy the afterlives, like that system, Let's tear this shit down. It's not fair that I've been tossed into the maw for the things I did in life. Who are you? Arbiter, Archon, Primus, Sire. Who are you, Winterqueen, to judge our souls and then give us a new purpose? This is not how it's supposed to be. And apparently, whatever she spoke with the jailer, she allied herself to his visions, something that devils and the Forsworn also did. Something that Helya also did, something that like a Muzala also allied to the jailer. So they, well, at least in the case of the Mass or the Forsworn, they spoke with the jailer and they agree with what he is saying. There is still a big portion of mystery, which is we do not know what the jailer did, why and how he betrayed the other of the Eternal Ones. We don't know why he was imprisoned, we don't know what he did, and we don't know exactly the details as to the whole Sylvanas Lich King storyline. So since that is still a mystery, who's to say what her ultimate motivations, how they actually line up? It might just be a point of view thing. Similar to how someone like Sargeras didn't see himself as the bad guy as he tried to purge the universe. He was like, well, you know, life had grown in the universe before anyways. Maybe it will again. It's better than when the Void takes over. And maybe she is like, well, it's better if we just destroy this whole afterlife system they got going on. Because the way it is right now is bullshit. This also gives merit to the idea that the Shadowlands, that the afterlives that we see right now, is not the way it's supposed to be. And we've spoken about this a long time ago in a video called The Pantheon of Death, in which we talk about how it seems like all the different zones that we get to visit, they're actually created by the Eternal Ones. We know 100% that the Winterqueen created Ardenweald. Then there are the first ones that helped shape all that we saw. There is indications that Sire Denethrius created Revendreth. So there is merit to the idea that the Shadowlands as we see it right now is not the way the Shadowlands is supposed to be. There's merit to that. Then the idea of Anduin serving them, serves at the Master's table. Like he has a choice, you can either join us willingly or we will make you to serve. And still, I like that they don't actually give a solid answer as to Anduin joins them or not. It's still up in the air as to what Sylvanas is doing. I just want to watch it one more. Words are hard. I want to watch it one more time. There we go.
I do hope you've settled in. The accommodations are a bit sparse.
Can I might add, by the way, once again, a massive compliment to the art team and the voice actors and bringing this all together. My god, it looks pretty.
I know.
Where are the others? Are they safe?
Safe? No. I wouldn't say any of them are safe.
Look at that facial expression, the minor details. How far we have come, man. How far have we come? What the f***?
I am so tired of your games.
As you wish. No more secrets. No more lies. You are a weapon we will use to achieve our ends.
I will not become an instrument of death.
So you favor life. Is that it? That momentary flicker. Every cruel second spent...
Patty Madison, is that her name? Sylvanas' voice actress? My god. If you've never seen her live on the BlizzCon stage, by the way, go check that out. She is just Sylvanas personified, and it's amazing.
Delaying the inevitable in an endless war that you, like every Rin before you...
Oh, this, by the way, this line, like you and every Rin before you, there's actually a short story called... I believe it's called Like Our Fathers Before Us, in which they actually deal with the idea that every Rin King dies in sacrifice. And Anduin is like, this is not our fate. And it's the storyline in which his father is attacked by the Twilight Hammer, and Anduin actually calls upon the light, which might be one of the very few rare cases in which they actually do a full resurrection. Although it's written in an ambiguous way, so it's not 100% confirmed, but it almost seems like Anduin literally resurrects Varian in that moment, which is a cool short story to check out. It's back in the Cataclysm time periods, where they also discuss the Rin legacy of, we're meant to die early.
Will not survive. You know the truth. Nothing is fair. Not life, not death. So we're going to tear it all down.
And what purpose would that serve? Everyone suffers, Sylvanas. But destroying everything will not take away the pain.
Oh, you misunderstand. We're breaking a system that has always been flawed and remaking it into one that is just.
Do you expect me to believe that all this time, you've been fighting for justice?
This is also something, a line that is, I don't know if I would describe it as a fear from the community, but like the idea of what Sylvanas is doing is for the greater good. And we've spoken about this, that if she believes that what allying with the jailer is actually for the betterment of everybody else out there, then something like the burning of Teldrassil, something like the Fourth War, something like all the things she's been doing so far, it's just a misunderstood kind of deal. There's also potential of her pulling an Illidan, which means she's not actually fighting with the jailer, although this cutscene kind of nullifies that idea. But in essence, it would be like, I'm allying with the jailer, but I'm actually, pretending to be his ally to then turn around and use his powers against him. But at the end of the day, I think for a lot of us, the burning of Teldrassil was just a step too far. You don't really come back from the idea of genocide of a race to be like, oh yeah, I did that for the betterment of everybody. Torment in the Tower of Torghast, that was for the greater good. That was for your benefit. I don't think that is a possibility at this point in time. I would much rather have her just be Sylvanas. I don't think you need such a plot twist. Just let her be Sylvanas, I think that would be pretty cool.
How can I convince you? From our first breath to our last, every decision is made for us. Then, the afterlife decides what eternity we must endure. We can't even choose who we...
It's up for speculation about what she means with we can't even choose who we... But that almost seems like she wasn't allowed to choose to love Nephanos. Maybe she always loved the jailer. Maybe Nephanos was sent over to the Maw, right? Because Tirana killed him. And then Sylvanas was like, my poor little Nephanos, he should be arriving any moment now. And the jailer looks at her and he's like, so? But he's Nephanos. So? And he just sends him off to the tower somewhere. That would be sad.
We couldn't.
But it wouldn't flow with what happened before that moment because she was a bit annoyed at Nephanos and she sent him away to go and find a way to deal with Bonsandi. So, yeah.
Control anything. We can't even choose who we...
We can't even choose who we... Sisters? We can't even choose who we have about sisters?
We couldn't control anything. But through the jailer, control of our... Couldn't. We can't even choose who we...
Who we serve in death? Who we reconnect with in death, maybe? Interesting.
We couldn't control anything. But through the jailer, control of our fate will at last be possible.
Look around you! At what and who you've joined. What makes you believe you're not just a weapon to achieve his ends?
You do choose where you go based off how you lived. No. Yes and no. I mean, it's not like the laws of the Shadowlands are available to everybody to open up a book. And this is something we talked about way early in the Shadowlands development cycle. This Shadowlands opening up and people actually visiting the afterlife and seeing how this system works is going to be groundbreaking if you pull that thread and allow it to flow over into the next of the lore. Imagine if the world of Azeroth itself finds out exactly what they need to do in order to end up at certain areas. Imagine that if you find out that if you have a garden and you take care of wildlife, you end up in Hippie Town in the afterlife. Or if you die in service to others, all of a sudden people will start throwing themselves into blades and be like, I'm coming, Bastion! Woo! Wings! Knowing how the afterlife works and knowing that how you live and how you die affects where you end up would be cult creating. It would be no longer would people live their lives. Instead, they would live their lives towards their death. It would be mental. So that's why I'm also saying, like, the whole system that's going on in the Shadowlands, I don't know if that's going to carry on further. I really think it's an artificial design that is not the way that the Shadowlands is supposed to be. There is an afterlife after all, but I don't think that whole filter is the way that the afterlife is supposed to be it created by the Eternal Ones, be it created by the First Ones for some weird-ass reason. I don't think the afterlife in Warcraft is supposed to be that your soul goes to a specific area and just gets farmed for anima. I think the afterlife is supposed to be different. But, again, that is purely speculation.
You have a choice to consider. Join us willingly, or be made to serve.
I thought you believed in free will, Sylvanas.
By the way, I laughed about this because that has always been a major argument about Sylvanas offering free will to the recently resurrected Forsaken. And though, to be fair, they kind of tried to push that idea, like they don't have to serve Sylvanas, but there was never free will about being brought back in the first place. Like, just look at Lillian Voss. As well as it's always been a question like who would serve Sylvanas Windrunner willingly? Because we need to consider that the corpses that they use were like Lordorans and potentially Stormwinds. But usually it's like humans resurrected in undeath. Why would they all of a sudden turn around and be like, I will fight against the living. I will fight against my former friends and loved ones for the Dark Lady and all that. So there's always, it's been an interesting idea of does she offer free will? Not to mention what happened afterwards, which is the whole meeting in a Raffi where she was like, oh, you wanna return home? Yeah, I don't think so. This whole idea of forming your council, reconnect with your loved ones, reconnect with those in life. Nah, this is my weapon to use against you. Free will, I don't know.
We've never had free will, little lion.
There you go. But man, oh man, the voice acting and oh, it's so good.
But that is about to change.
And now she pushes towards... Yeah, I love it. I find it a really interesting cutscene. What do you think, chat? Do you have any questions? Ooh, I should not sit at the tip of my chair. Hot damn. 100% personal for her? I wonder what she's talking about with we could not even... They use Arduins harder to force to imprison the jailer, yes? Maybe anima was never meant to be farmed from souls. Maybe. Or maybe the whole system to keep the jailer imprisoned was created with the Shadowlands. Maybe the betrayal of the jailer is what led to them effing around with the Shadowlands and creating this system to farm anima, therefore imprisoning the jailer. Maybe. Who doesn't have questions? Starting here, there was someone who was, no, I stay dead and return to death, but it's only... It's the only case where shown. Yeah, it's an interesting concept. Why does she think there's no free will? Because there's the purpose, choices you make in life, and then the afterlife. Like, how can you have free will if you are judged upon the choices that you made? Is that free will? Imagine, and we just talked about that, imagine that you know how the Arbiter works. Imagine that you are, upon birth, giving a book with guidelines and rules. If you live your life like this, then this will be where you end up in the afterlife. How much free will do you actually have to live your life? How much free will do you have to make mistakes? Who are these Eternal Ones to judge souls? Who are they to sort you into specific domains based upon a life that you lived in ignorance? How is that fair? As well as, how should that be life, right? It was Argus' whole soul? Maybe. It could definitely be Argus. Argus. I'm just keeping that interview in mind where there are magical souls and mortal souls. Do you think her brother might be a part of it? I mean, his brother could be. He was not forgotten in the comic, so they saw him there. After that, I don't know.